Hi, my name is Eddie Flynn. This is my narrative pitch under course instructor Mr. Tommy Dennis for our directing course. My working title is Are They Real? In my film, a man obviously is tired and alone in a white-walled room. He is asked a series of confusing questions about visions he's having. Eventually, trying to escape his captives, he's back into the same room to start the experiment all over again. I want the viewer to see my short narrative and really think about the protagonist. I want this to draw an uneasy emotion. We've all been in a situation that keeps pulling us back in, whether it's an addiction, a job you're stuck in, or even a relationship. I want every person that sees this film to see it differently, depending on their personal life situation. If you've ever seen a film by David Lynch called Rabid, my film will have a lot of different features that will reference back to that film. In my film, the story starts with a man sitting in a metal chair. It's got a white-walled room around him, fluorescent lighting overhead. The camera angles will change from medium shots to extreme close-ups of the man to really convey a sense of what emotions he's feeling. There will also be camera shots of an intercom speaker on the wall to introduce the protagonist of this narrative. After a few minutes of uneasy waiting and an obvious feeling of being stuck in his situation, we will eventually hear the click of an intercom, and the antagonist will pose a few questions asking if the protagonist is aware of something that's watching him. After a series of questions to the protagonist's surprise, the magnetically locked door on the other side of the room will open. We will show shots of his reactions to the door being opened at first, confused yet concerned, but changing to cautious. As the protagonist gets out of his chair, we'll follow him with an over-the-shoulder shot as he walks towards the door. As our subject cautiously opens the door, we'll cut to an outside facility that he has been held in, and we'll see the protagonist exiting the facility. Here, there will be a few people walking around as he walks down the sidewalk to exit the facility. Slowly, these people will start to notice his presence. The camera will show this as the protagonist becomes very uneasy. We will have shots of his face and some shots of the crowd as they turn and notice him. As the protagonist walks down the sidewalk, we'll have an over-the-shoulder shot to follow him, with cuts of people that are stopping and staring as he's walking away. As more people notice him leaving the facility, they stop and stare as well, and the protagonist will be shown signs of almost a full-on fear as he picks up his pace. At this point, we want to draw in the emotion of the viewer and get them really captivated onto what's going on and why he's so fearful of the people around him. As the protagonist turns around, he notices people who are stopped and staring, but these people are now beginning to sprint towards him. The protagonist then begins to run away from the people. He keeps shouting, "They're not real. They're not real," over and over. As they begin to catch up to the protagonist, they will eventually tackle him. Before he hits the ground, the scene will cut away, and we'll see the protagonist back with an extreme close-up of his face with sweat running down. He's obviously going to look very exhausted. Camera's going to cut to a medium shot. It's going to give an uneasy feeling similar to the beginning of the film, where we finally notice that he's in the same room again. The same room that he started at in the beginning of the film. After a few minutes of camera shots where all we hear is the running machinery or AC that's running in the room, the speaker's going to cut on, and we will hear the antagonist as he asks the question, "Do you still see them?"